I'm Deborah Uroda for It's Your Money, and we have Brad Tafoya here in the studio with us. And we're going to talk about the 7 stages of money maturity that George Kinder came up with. And what are those 7 stages, and why do you use this kind of analysis?
Yeah, so George Kinder, like me, was a tax planner and eventually got into financial planning, and that led him to financial life planning. And he recognized early on that many of us have issues around money. That a lot of times those issues are formed at childhood, and we don't even recognize how they drive the things that we do in our adult life, especially around money. And so George wrote this book, The 7 Stages of Money Maturity, that summarizes these different stages and helps people kind of see them and understand them, and through that become at more ease with money and financial matters.
And so what are some of the stages that you help people really look at when they come to you as a financial planner?
Yeah, so the 7 stages, I'll just list them quickly and then we'll go over a couple of them. But so the first 2 stages are the 2 stages of childhood, and that's innocence and pain. Then there's 3 stages of adulthood, that's knowledge, understanding, and vigor. And then we have the next 2 stages of awakening, vision and aloha. And so you kind of work through these stages as you become more understanding of your issues around money.
Well, what's the matter with just kind of being innocent about money? Like, hey, it's always going to be there. I don't need to worry about it.
Yeah, that is a big one for a lot of people. And so innocence, the way that we define this is that innocence represents the belief, thoughts, stories, and attitudes and assumptions about money that we hold on to dear life no matter what. And again, a lot of times we have these patterns. We establish patterns around money and financial issues, and a lot of that is formed at childhood. And I've got a great example, if you'd like, about a client that I was working with, where we established or unearthed one of these innocence beliefs and the pain that was causing him. And so I was working with a client, and I asked him what one of his first memories of money was. And he thought back and he said, when I was 16 years old, I had to, he had some jobs and had made some money, and he had to loan his mom some money. And I said, wow, that's a pretty big deal. I'm like, how did that make you feel? And his first reaction was really pride. He was proud to be able to do that, to be able to help his mom out. And I just let him think about it some more, and I finally asked him again, what else? And this is a guy, by the way, who's very successful. He had come to me, he's at a place in his life where he loves the company that he's working for, trying to figure out what he wants to do. But he had this figure in mind of what he needed to be able to have to be able to either retire or maybe just go on and choose and do something different. And he works hard, he's a workaholic, he drives himself very hard. And so as we were talking about this memory of money again, he recognized that back then he made the decision that he never wanted to be in that same place as his mom. He did not want to have to ask his kids for a loan. I said, wow. I'm like, and why do you work so hard again? And so the innocence was believing that there's this figure in mind and that there's this goal that you have to reach to be able to be free. And the pain from that is working very hard. And so by working through this issue and then looking at his finances, we were able to get him to understand that if he wanted to choose to do something different, he was in a place that he could do that. And so it was amazing and very powerful.
Yeah, and then that really frees you up. And I think that's what the ultimate goal is, isn't it? So that you are freed up from these preconceived notions and you don't feel so burdened by work or being trapped by this preconceived notion of what you have to have.
Yes.
And so how does that help you in the long run?
Well, that's a great question, and George, in his intro to the book, defines it as finding money maturity means resolving your inner conflicts around money. And I've kind of added to that to say that, if you don't deal with your internal hangups around money, you're going to continue to make the same financial mistakes over and over again. And so you may go to a financial planner or a CPA and they may plan things out well for you, but if you haven't dealt with those issues, the concept that you raised, which is, oh, it'll be there someday. Or a lot of times, you know, like my client, how much is enough? If you don't deal with those underlying issues that are forming those thought patterns, then you can't really find ease with money, no matter how little or how much you make.
And ease with money really is ease with your life, because if you don't have to worry about a roof over your head and having enough, then you can make choices based on what it is that you really want to do instead of being driven by money.
Yeah, I would say the ultimate goal really is to, the more you learn about your own issues with money and the more you learn about finances, that's the thing that allows you to be free to make the choices differently and free to spend your time and your money how you want to versus being driven by some external or internal factor.
If you'd like to know more about the 7 stages of money maturity, contact Brad Tafoya at Tafoya Barrett & Associates. I'm Deborah Uroda for It's Your Money.